In other words, those other companies that ruin your weekends, you know, and make it for late nights, you know what I'm referring to. If you think back 10 years or so, were the competitive offerings that you provided or that they provided relative to you, were they more different 10 years ago or more similar relative to today? In other words, were your competitors, were there really real differences between your product offerings 10 years ago, or has things become more similar over time today? Is my question clear? If you think about what the competitive environment is about, and through the eyes of your customers, were products more different 10 years ago or more similar 10 years ago? More similar 10 years ago. And they're more different today. Who here would agree with that? A few of you, that's good. Who here would say the opposite? They were more different and everything has converged into, and again, it's going to vary by industry on a case-by-case basis, but I'm looking for something more general. And typically when I ask this question, and I do a lot of work in a range of industries, that's why I like this very broad, diverse audience tonight. I do a lot of consulting from ExxonMobil to Amway, LG in between, a whole range of different companies I'll end up working with, not always in the brand space, some with business strategy. But again, show of hands thinks that through the customer's eyes, your product is kind of interchangeable with other competing alternatives. Who here has that problem? Okay, why do you think that is?
Internet.
What's that?
Internet.
Okay, the internet. Tell me why.
Because everybody's looking at each other's webpage.
All right, so your value proposition then is now a bit more transparent than it might have been before, or more readily or easily accessible. That's a good point. Somebody else.
Standardization.
But by the way, your name again is?
Natalie.
Natalie. She owns the property. She's in the service industry because, tell your friends, Idealog, here it is, you know. We need enrollments boosted. You're in a service industry, and that's how people might contact you through the internet, but they can make comparisons. But if you think about the robotics industry or industrial products, I think things have really converged on sameness, and I think I'm hearing this. Now let's ask why. In other words, in manufactured goods, even highly technical products, it's hard to get a competitive advantage and have it sustainable these days. You find this with your clients? Yes. Yeah. Why? ¿Por qué? Pucci-mu, depending on whether you're Russian.
It's more transparent.
Okay, you're more transparent.
Globalization.
Globalization, tell me more. You're right. How so?
People have access to what happens all around the world.
So we have access to what happens, but I can even get more specific. I've got access to talent, I've got access to capital, and I've got access to knowledge. And what's happened over time is I work with companies that 10 years ago their products were not so good. And in 10 years' time they have closed that objective, physical, quality gap for all the, your name is?
Nestle.
Okay, that's a good name. I'll have to read the card and practice. I'll come back to the next meeting and I'll have your name right. Things have converged on sameness. So I work with companies that have a strong business strategy and a very strong product offering. The problem is it's somewhat interchangeable with other competing offerings, and that's sort of what I'm hearing. So I guess the question I'd ask is, so what's the one thing you own that no one else can own?
Relationships.
Well, that's going to be a consequence of owning this asset, though.
Differentiation.
Well, it's going to be the only thing that can truly differentiate you, because as soon as you innovate, what do your competitors do? They kind of follow. I'll give you an example. I do a lot of work with companies in Taiwan, highly technical industries, and they built these industrial or tech corridors, which are very interesting, because these companies are right next door to each other. I mean, they can walk out and almost peer into the labs of their competitors. Not really, but that's how close they are. So I'm working with this Taiwanese company, and they say, oh, it's very terrible. We have innovated, we've got this great innovation. And I look at my watch, and I know I have a 45-minute head start over my competitors. I said, oh, that's really terrible. Yeah, they copy everything we do. I said, that's terrible. So what do you do when they innovate? Oh, we copy everything they do as well. And you know what it is? And maybe some of you feel like this. It's a race to a never-ending finish line. I mean, it's a constant struggle. And you know something? There's no way that you're going to be able to compete unless you keep up with those innovations, et cetera, of all your competitors. You have to do it because of transparency and globalization. Everyone knows what's going on. Your books are open, usually. And as a result of that, what we're trying to do today is now find something that's going to be special, unique, that I can offer alone. And what I find, again, with the companies I'm working for, they invest an enormous amount in R&D. They invest an enormous amount in getting the production right, so they do become a world-class product. But as I see it, that's not sufficient to win today. 10 years ago, having a great product or a great offering, whether you're in the product or service industry, that was a way you could win in the global arena. Today, it's an entry ticket. Who plays golf? It's your greens fee. It gets you into the game, but it doesn't help you win. So I'm going to ask the question again. What is the only asset you own that the competitor really can't copy because your brand? The name of the company again is?
Bell Robotics.
There it is. How many Bell Robotics are there, at least in Spain? Tell me. Uno. That's it. And as a result, this is the one asset that you can build that's going to be yours and yours alone. Not easy work, but it's not the same as having a competitive offering that when you look at both of them, you assess both of them, they're substitutable. What happens when two products are substitutable? What's the sort of only thing you can differentiate on? Price.
Price. Yeah.
Wow. Who here has played the price game?
Every day.
Yeah, everybody does. And you want to know what I call it? And that's the companies I work with. I say you've got to give your customers a reason to buy other than low price. And if you focus on low price as your means to create your business, to find a source of business, turn out the lights, you don't have much of a future in my eyes. And I'll tell you why. How many companies can you name that in a sustainable way can compete on price into the future? Which one?
Lidl.
Walmart.
Walmart would be one. And,
Lidl.
That's the same.
Lidl.
oh, Lidl. Yep, out of Germany. Yep. So that would be one. Walmart would be another. Keep going.
IKEA.
Okay, IKEA. Third.
Ryanair.
Ryanair would be another. 4.
EasyJet.
EasyJet. 5. Now, why is this hard? I got to come up with 5 companies. You know how many publicly traded companies there are in the world that have a market cap over 100 million? Close to 15,000. You come up with 5 companies? And unless you work or you own, that'd be nice if you did own Walmart or Lido, etc. Unless you own one of those companies that can compete in a sustainable way on price, how else are you going to do it going into the future? What's going to be what makes you special, your sustainable competitive advantage? And I find I work with, again, a lot of companies, they're not built to compete on price. They're simply not. Who here knows right away, if I had to find out what's really special about me, what makes me unique and was going to be my sustainable strategy, I am the low-cost provider and I can do it longer and better than others. Show of hands. That's pretty much the response I get when I work with a collection of companies. So if price, and again, so that's it, but if you're seen as substitutable, what does your customer do? They focus on price because it's the only thing that can differentiate you. So what happens when you can drop your price? Can you capture share? Yes or no? If you drop price right now on all your product offerings and look at its impact on your business for the next short term, whatever your purchase cycle might be, would you see a boost in sales if you drop your price? Yes or no?
Yes.
Absolutely yes. Because you know what your customers view it as? It's like heroin in the arm for them. It's a drug. And we've made them addicted, and they love it every time they get their fix. But the thing is, too, that's when you're a business person. Put on your consumer hat, and every one of us loves that good price, don't we? All right? So it's kind of a vicious cycle.
But
We
sometimes
play.
it seems as low price, low quality.
Well, that's right. But if you're transparent, they just know they're getting a good deal. And if you do have low quality, but perceptions of low quality will, particularly in a service industry where I really can't assess how good how well you're going to deliver the benefits, it may be a concern that price and quality will be, sort of interchangeable or connected there to some extent. So what I find is, for companies, if you drop the price, what would your competitor then do? Because they like market share too. They'll drop the price. Who here has played this game? I call it the death spiral. Because unless you work for Walmart, unless you work for IKEA or Ryanair, you don't have a future if this is the way you need to play the game. So I go back to the one asset that you own, and I'd say if you manage it right, and your name, sir, is the...
Joyce.
You must be sister to the other woman, or you must be the brother of, this must be your sister. Yeah, no, this must be your sister here. You must find too that, companies are challenged to try to find out one thing that makes them better, different, and special. And I'll say that price cannot be it unless you work for, again, one of those particular companies. So, again, I'm just trying to give you a flavor of the idea of all of you are firemen. You know what I mean by firemen? If you run a business, you're constantly putting on that hat and you're putting out fires all day. It's nice to get a bit of champagne or cava, nice to have a bit of a bite to eat and get out of the work environment and with other like-minded business people, and just for a short time, 15, 20 minutes or so, I wanted to ask you to step out of your fireman's hat and really think about the core essence of your business, how it's going to be sustainable, and what makes you special. And for most of you, I believe, just hearing and again speaking to some of you, knowing a little bit about each of the industries here, that you're probably facing the same pressures as a lot of the companies I already work with, and that is, I got to be great in what I do, but that's not sufficient to capture share, win business, etc. And I find that a strong brand can help you charge a premium, can help you extend into other categories, and at the same time it creates loyalty with customers. And what I say about loyalty it's where the customer almost wants to chase you around the room with their wallet or dig into their pockets deep for the privilege of interacting with you. That's really what it's about. Who here owns something from Apple? Apple. Yeah. You all overpaid, and you willingly did it, and you could not be happier. Am I right? Yeah. There it is. Do you have customers that think of you in the same way? Well, I would say you probably got great products, but now you need to start managing the relationships with the market that you have, and brand is about having a relationship with your customers. So I think, I don't know how long I've gone. If you want, I can really start motoring away, and we'll have breakfast, tomorrow. And I don't want to do that to you, but I'm happy to entertain any comments or questions you might have. I've tried to pose a range of issues. Price can't be it, yet all of you have to play the price game, particularly in this environment. You've got one thing that makes you special, and it really is your brand. The question is it an expense, or are you investing in it in this sort of way to build relationships? And I think a third idea is think about your competitive set and everything converging into sameness. You've got to break away.